Good morning, everyone. This is Stephen Gregg again, and today we're going to be going through my story. And the message of the story is called The Mindset of a Trailblazer. And I'm going to be going through, like I said the last time, this is where my life began. This is where everything just took off from this point. Like I mentioned before, I was, living with this girl in Inglewood. Actually, I think we were in Inglewood, or we may have been in Hawthorne at that time. I think it was Hawthorne. We were living in this apartment. I was working at Circuit City, and my buddy Malcolm was around at the time, and we were just sitting there watching TV or talking or something, and I remember her dad. Her dad was a unique guy. They lived, in a different part of LA, and her dad used to come by every once in a while and bring unique stuff to us. Unique stuff meaning just not normal stuff that everybody would bring over. But this particular day was different. I remember we were sitting there. It was a nice, beautiful, sunny day, and we were just hanging out around the house or whatever. And her father came over, and he was kind of like a Fred Sanford kind of guy. You remember Fred Sanford? He like a junk man. He was kind of like that. Not really that. I don't know about his personality, but the way he had a bunch of stuff in his truck. So he would actually come over. And that day he brought some unique stuff. He brought a violin, I remember that. He brought these drinks, and they were these like sparkling raspberry iced tea sparkling or something like that. It was some weird drink that we had never heard of. And then he brought these little bars called Kudo bars. At that time we didn't know what those were, so he brought those. And he brought some other little doodads and stuff. But the one thing he brought was a cassette. I mean, not a cassette, a VHS tape. And that VHS tape had a unique title, because I looked at the title of it, and it was called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. And the guy's name that made the movie at that time, in 88, 89 or so, his name was Jawanza Kunjufu. You can look him up online. He has the same videos online now. So it was two sides to it. The other side, I can't remember the exact name of the other side of the video, but it was two parts. And I watched it. I watched the whole thing. She watched it, Mia watched it. And then I don't know what happened that day. I don't know what God was doing in my life at that moment, but he did. Because something sparked in me that I can't explain. What I mean by that, something sparked in me. Something lit up. And my heart just started racing, and my mind just started turning. And I said, I don't know what's going on here in this world right now. There's something weird going on, because why are we called so many different names? Why are we called black and African American and Afro-American and Negro and nigger and all these different, adjectives to describe us? Who are we? And that's what this video talked about. Who are we as a people? Stephen Gregg, who is this black person? Because I know we couldn't have just started 400 years ago in slavery, because that's what the video was talking about. We had to have come from somewhere else. Well, we just come from Africa? Well, who are we? Because Germans know who Germans are. They came from Germany. That's where their family were from. Russians know who Russians are. They came from Russia. It's easy for everybody else. Mexicans know that they're from Mexico. But where was I from? That was the question that this video posed. But he posed it in a very unique way, because he went through the school systems, talked about how the school systems were there to destroy black boys. He talked about how the teachers, some certain types of teachers, women teachers, don't know how to teach boys. I don't know if that's 100% true. My wife teaches my son in a great way, and a lot of great men came from women teachers. So I don't know about all that part. But there was just a lot of little things he talked about that struck a chord in me. And when it struck that chord, I just said, you know what? I got to do something about this. Now, remember, I'm 18 years old. I don't have any money. I don't have nothing. But you know what I did have is I had a spark in my eye. I had a spark in my heart that I needed to do something about this. So what I did is got a pen and paper, and I started writing some notes. And I wrote down 4 pages of notes of this big project I wanted to create. And as I was writing it, I stopped in the middle of it. I said, you know what? I heard of this place called Tent City. So I went downtown LA, and there was a whole area right by where the 10 freeway and the 110 freeway meet, right there in the corner. And I went over there and I looked, and there was an entire sea of white tents. And those white tents were places where people lived. And I just looked, and I was like, good night, all this homelessness. I said, I got to do something about this. I've got to do something about it. I said, you know, this is something God put on my heart. I want to do something big. I don't know what I can do about this. I don't have any money. I don't have anything, but I want to do something. So I came back home. I finished writing out my design, and I wrote out this 4.5-page document. I'll show it to you next time. I'll print one out and show you. But I actually wrote out this big document, and when I wrote it out, I just said, what's the name of this thing? What can I call it, God? What do I call it? Now, you got to remember, when I'm talking to God, I'm just kind of frivolously talking about God because I didn't really know God. I wasn't a disciple of Jesus or anything. I would just ask that question because my mom used to always say, put God first. That was her. As I'm on my way to the nightclub, she would always say, put God first. So I would always talk about God somehow. It's just kind of innate in me. So I was sitting there and I said, well, what should I call this thing? And he gave me a logo. And this logo was a man standing up with his hand, and it was on like a little moon or whatever. And it was called Enterprise, INNERPRIZE, Community Access Network. Enterprise Community Access Network. Now, at the time, I said, wow, that's a powerful name. You know, let me go and get that trademark. And I did. I got a trademark at the time and stuff. I didn't do anything with it because I didn't have any money at the time, but I was excited about it, and I wrote up this document. And I went and I took it, and I started sharing it with my friends. I was like, hey, Malcolm, check this thing out. And I have Malcolm watch the video. So we watched it together, and he helped me write out this 4-page document. He was inspirational in some of the ideas in that. And then he showed it to his wife, and his wife proofread it and rewrote it again for me. And then I showed it to me, and she was excited about it. We were all there together, all fired up for this Enterprise Community Access Network. So I just went on a hot pursuit. I just said, you know what? I got to find the money. Now, let me tell you what my mindset was. Because of who the people that had the conspiracy to destroy black boys, who those people were, in the video, he talked about all these different families, these 13 bloodlines that are in the world. You can look them up online right now. You just look up the 13 bloodlines, or, you know, there's all kinds of things you can look up. And now I know much more about them now, but back then, all I knew was that these bloodlines that, you know, suppressed the world in different ways. And so I just said, you know, I'm not going to tell any rich people how this works. I'm going to do it myself. I got to figure it out myself. I got to raise the money. I got to build it. I got to do it, because if I tell somebody about it, they'll do it the wrong way. They'll do it for the money, and that's not the reason to do it. It was going to be a community center that was going to help children and help them with their thinking. It was going to be a community center that was going to help adults and help them with their thinking. It was going to help the teachers be able to teach the kids better. It was going to be a big community center that was going to have fun and worship in there. And there's going to be singing. There's going to be an auditorium in there. There was going to be a pool in there. There was going to be you know, computers. Well, yeah, that was when the laptops and stuff like just started coming out. Those computers and stuff a little bit, and it was just going to be this amazing place. And then the intent was to build one of those facilities in every major city around the world. That was my goal. So you can imagine this was going to cost billions of dollars to build. And at the time, I didn't have billions of dollars. I probably didn't have 50 cents in my pocket. To be real with you, I was broke as a joke at that point. But it didn't matter. I still had a big dream that I believed in. And so I decided, you know what, I need to do something about it. So what I did was I decided I bought some mega memory tapes. I mentioned the guy Kevin Shadow, one of the guys that I was inspired by. He had these tapes online on infomercials called Mega Memory. So I bought those mega memory tapes, and I started listening to them. Now, I don't remember anything about the tapes other than one thing. And this one thing sparked my entire life as far as my thinking, and taught me how to think properly and how to grow properly. And it was what's called the 4 levels of learning. Those 4 levels of learning I learned that day, and I actually learned how to learn. And those 4 levels of learning, I'm not going to teach them today. I'll teach them another time. But those 4 levels of learning, you could probably watch a video on one of my websites or something about what the 4 levels of learning is. But the 4 levels of learning is one of the most impacting technologies that I could say I've ever learned, and probably one of the most valuable things I've ever learned over anything else, with the exception of the Bible and the Word of God. That's how powerful these 4 levels of learning was for me. So what I did was I learned them, I mastered them, how my brain works to learn new information. So I learned those 4 levels, and so I said, okay, now I got it, now I need to go out and make some money. I need to do something. So what I did was I said, well, how can I make a boatload of cash with no money, no experience, no nothing? So what could I do? Because remember, I had no money, I had no knowledge, I had no friend support, I had no family support, everything was crazy. My friends thought I was a nutcase because I had this gigantic dream. Steven, how you gonna do that? Get out of here, go back to work, go back to selling cars or something. There is no way you can do that. And I said, well, there is a way I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. If it can be done, I'm gonna do it. And I wrote it down, and everywhere I went, every business I went into, every job I took, or every sales position I was in, I told people that's what I'm doing. See, it didn't matter what I had. It didn't matter what I didn't have. It didn't matter what I knew. It didn't matter how much money I had. You know what it mattered? Is that I had a big dream that I believed in. If nobody else believed in that dream, I believed in that dream because I needed to take care of my people. I needed to take care of my people. That was my mindset at the time. So you know what I did? I did something crazy. I joined some network marketing companies because that was about the only thing I could do at the time. Because network marketing, you can get into network marketing with no experience, no money. So what I did, one of the first ones was an insurance company. A buddy of mine named Louis Jonas and Tony Jonas at the time, he was the brother of Fernando Jonas, who worked at the car dealership, who trained me in sales. Fernando was a brilliant salesperson and trainer. He taught me sales. And so I went over to his brother, Tony, had an office, an insurance office. So he started teaching me the world of insurance so I could start building a residual income. And I did. I started selling insurance, and I was in the top 13 salespeople in all of Southern California from here to San Diego. I was at number 13 in a very short period of time. Started generating good money, and my residual was coming, and I was on my way until a couple months later, the company went out of business. And so now I was back to square one again. Okay, so then from that point, I went into another company. I found this other network marketing company called the Diet Cookie. Now, if you don't know what the Diet Cookie is, it was these little organic cookies that had no fillers in it, no junk in it to basically, no fillers and no garbage type of stuff in it. It was organic. So I got these Diet Cookies, and somehow I acquired about $15,000 worth of Diet Cookies. Now I'm out selling these cookies door to door, not door to door, friend to friend and family to family and business associate to business associate. I'm trying to sponsor some people. Had a little bit going on, but I ended up acquiring $15,000 worth of Diet Cookies. Now, if you don't know what $15,000 worth of Diet Cookies looks like, it looks like from maybe that wall behind me all the way to this wall, this high off the ground, but this, deep a stack of boxes. It was just boxes in my living room. Boxes and boxes and boxes in my living room in Hawthorne. And at that time, it was crazy because, California don't get too much rain, so it was hot. And I don't know what it looks like with in the summer here, but, it was hot and dry, and those cookies had no preservatives in them. And so I actually ended up with $15,000 worth of rotten cookies in my living room. And so now, because those cookies were, I don't know what happened, but the company ended up going out of business again. So now I'm chasing my dream again, and all of a sudden now I got $15,000 worth of wasted money and rotten Diet Cookies in my living room. From that point, myself and Malcolm, I found a company called DermaShield. Because I went to this presentation and they had this product that you could put on your hands of this skin protector. It's called DermaShield, this big old can about that big. And they claim that you can put anything on your hand and it will wash right off. Nothing will stick. So they said oil from cars won't stick. So me and Malcolm, we were kind of trying to do this together because he was inspired from ICANN at the same time. So we would put this DermaShield on our hand and we would go to car dealerships and we would go to auto mechanic places and ask them, hey, let's put some grease on our hands. So we put grease on our hands and rub it all around and we'd go get the DermaShield and wash right off. And they buy a can. And then I'd go to another store and buy a can. We were going up and down Hawthorne Boulevard selling one can at a time to a place like that. But then they had a unique claim. They also claimed that, you could put acid on your hand. And if you put acid on your hand, it won't burn. So I was figuring chemists and doctors and all kinds of stuff. So what I did was I said, let's do this. Let's try it. And he was like, well, okay, well, where do you get acid from? I was like, I don't know. Where do you get acid from? Where do you live? Let's look at the phone book. Because there was no Google back then. So I said, look at the phone book. So we did. And we found out that you have to go to a chemist to get acid at the time. So we went to the chemist. We said, we need some acid we want to put on our hand. What's the strongest kind of acid you got? He goes, it's called pure sulfuric acid. I said, okay, well, we'll take some. We'll take this little bit of it. What you got? He goes, here's 1 ounce of it. I said, yeah, that should be fine. We're just going to do a little test just to make sure it works. He goes, well, test? What kind of test? He goes, well, we're going to put it on our hands and see if it burns through our skin with this protector on. He said, no, you don't want to do that. And I was like, well, why not? He goes, because this is the kind of acid that if you drop it on the ground, it kind of burns a hole through the ground. Until it just runs out, it just burns a hole through anything. This is not the kind of acid you want to put on your hand. I said, no, but we got to believe this product. We trust this product that it works. We've seen some demos and stuff on videos that it could work. So I need to believe in it. He was like, well, you got to sign this waiver and, we're not responsible. And I was like, yeah, no, I understand. I get it. So we did. And what we did was we went home and we took that acid and we went in the back of his apartment building. And we got a rock, we got a nail, and there was an ant crawling by. Poor ant. Ants always been in my life. You'll hear about that later too. And this poor ant came by, walking by, and so we got the ant and we poured it on the ant, and the ant was dead instantly, of course. And then we poured it on the rock, and the rock disintegrated. And then we poured it on the little nail. And the nail just kind of melted into nothing. And we're like, okay, well, let's lather up. And so we lathered up, and we got the little dropper. And I said, okay, Mal, you first. He goes, no, you first. I was like, okay. How about we do it at the same time? We'll just drop them, boom, 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 real quick. We'll do it at the same time, and we'll see what happens, okay? And we just got to be prepared to wash this stuff off real quick. He goes, okay. And I said, drop. And we're standing there, and we're looking at our hands, and we're looking, and we're waiting, and we're waiting to see it burn, and we're waiting, and we're looking at it, and nothing's happening. It's working. And it's working. I was like, that's awesome. So we poured it off real fast. We said, man, this is awesome. We gave each other a pound, gave each other a hug. Said, man, we are rich. This is it. This is going to go. This product is going to kill it around the world. So we went in the house and got water and washed our hands off. And then all of a sudden it started to burn. We started seeing this big scab in the middle of our hand. We're like, what the heck's going on here? And he didn't tell us that water makes it a little bit more corrosive. And so, but fortunately it didn't burn a hole in our hand. So I can't look at you like this through my hand. So that's the good thing. It did work. So we went out again and we started going to chemists and we started going to hospitals and all kinds of places trying to sell this Derma Shield. The problem was one can would last like 10 years because the can was a big, gigantic can and there was no reorders of the product. And the company, I don't know what happened, but the company ended up going out of business again. So as I'm in hot pursuit of my dream, my first 3 companies went out of business. And you got to remember, when I invest in something, I go all in. I push all my chips in, and I say I'm in. So, with the insurance, I had to put a lot of money and time and effort and spending. I was going into debt. And then when I was in the that business with the Diet Cookie, I spent a lot of money and went into debt. Credit cards and all kinds of stuff. I'm 18 years old, 19 years old. Got all these credit cards, 20 years old or so. And got all these credit cards that amassed, and so I'm going into debt, and then it goes out of business, and now I got all these wasted money sitting there. So I now have gotten to this Hunter Heritage. I bought all these cases of all this Derma Shield, and the company goes out of business. So now I got all these cases wasted again, and I'm back in debt again. And so, my first 3 go-arounds going after my dream, I was in debt. I'm going the wrong direction. I'm trying to make the right decision, but going the wrong direction. And it kept happening over and over. And you're going to hear more stories on the next video about, what ended up happening. But I can tell you right now, at this point, I'm getting kind of discouraged, but I'm still fired up because my dream, You know, countering the conspiracy to destroy Black boy just didn't go surface deep. It went to the heart. It went to my gut. It went inside of me to the point where there was nothing I could think about. There was nothing gonna stop me from achieving that dream. So what if 3 companies went out of business? This wasn't a surface dream. This was a deep-seated, committed dream. I wasn't interested in being successful in this. I was committed. I was all in to helping my people. And God knew that. So, I'm out of time right now, but I just want to say, this was the beginning of the story. And on my next video, I'm going to share with you some more stories of some of the things I had to do to pursue my dream. Some of the additional things. But I just want you guys to know, thank you so much for listening to my story. And, I appreciate you guys being here. You can check a look at some of the things I do, but I love you guys and I'm here. And I hope this message touches your heart and really inspires you to go after your dream. All you need is a spark and have a burning desire to achieve it. I love you guys. Talk to you soon.